Hello, my co-eyes, it's your Otaku, your senpai, here to give you a live reaction. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, and it helps out a lot. Hello, my co-eyes, it's your Otaku, your senpai, here to give you a review for the anime Talentless Nana, episode 12. This is a really good episode, really deep, really insightful, full of characterization for Nana, right? Before we get into it, I do want to address two questions I saw in a different comment section. For those that don't know, this is my new channel. I had another channel, got deleted. So, someone said something like Nana is a idiot for being manipulated, right? And she's so smart. And I want to address this. One, the government's manipulating her, right? She has been institutionalized since she was a child. And she also suffered a trauma from when she was a child, making her easier to be institutionalized as well as controlled and manipulated. We're getting it. She's also 15. Like, even if she's smart, and she is smart, she's intelligent, she's 15, right? I didn't think it would have to be explained, but I guess it does, right? From there, another thing is I saw someone saying that someone was like, oh, this is like Death Note and Onodera is like L, and someone was like, don't you ever compare Onodera to L? L would have had this figured out in the first death. And I'm like, you guys do realize that Onodera has already figured out she's the murderer, like in episode 1. The problem is proof, right? Motive. Proof, motive. Like, I've said this 100 times. For Onodera to be able to say anything, he has to know why she's doing it, and for him to even think for him to even like have like an idea of why she's doing it, because he doesn't know why she's doing it. He'd have to unlearn the fact that the government's been lying to them, and if you're living in a country, the government's probably lied to you. The government's probably lied to me, right? He'd have to not trust any textbooks he's ever read. He'd have to rethink his entire mindset. So the reason why I'm saying this again is that it doesn't seem like people seem to understand that aspect of figuring things out. So anyways, let's get into the episode. So watching Nana desperately trying to save Michiro was really great to see, and her using the excuse that, it would hurt her plan if she can't get her well is also very nice to see. Nana's looking for teachers, she's looking for nurses, and she goes into the room and she realizes that no one's in there, and the teacher tells her that, well, the nurse went back to HQ and all the teachers went back to the dorm. But you notice a lot of teachers usually stay after school to do work. No one's there but him. So again, this is showing that these deaths are definitely affecting the island. And I like this because, everybody's always saying that these kids are dumb, they're not thinking, and I've gone over it before. These kids aren't dumb, they just don't care. They're kids, they're self-absorbed, they have godlike powers. They don't need to care. At 15, who would, really, right? But the adults are like, whoa, bodies, people are dying, let's get off. The nurse went back to headquarters, and later on, we're going to find out that there was just a distress call as well, so that's a thing, right? So I like this because it's showing there is maturity levels within the story. It's just from the actual adults, right? From there, she goes to Onodera and he's asking her for medicine. Onodera was like, I'm busy, like, autopsying the body. Onodera is just doing a lot right now, but he's doing him and I like it, right? From there, he's like, I can't do it right now, I'm kind of busy. So she actually goes to a restaurant, and I like this because she breaks the window. And you guys remember how when Nana was having a conversation with the future seer, he kind of went in there, woke up the staff, and then pulled them out and made them make them food, right? Which just was a showing of how arrogant he was. However, we know a lot of the faculty are just closing up early, and now Nana's doing it, showing how Nana's becoming less of herself throughout the episode. And it's showing Nana isn't who she usually is, and we're going to get a little bit more of an indicator later on, right? So I like this, and we mentioned that again. So Nana in this moment isn't acting like a soldier, she's acting like a teenage girl who's worried about her friend. Later on, Onodera comes in to look at Michiro and mention that, Nana's room is messy, and this is important because we know Nana's room is really clean, because the only time in her life where her room wasn't clean was when she was a kid, when she was her true self, and what resorted in that was her not always being on, which is she's always on, like, observing, trying to figure things out. Her parents died, and I think this was a good representation of that. Her room is her room's not messy. She's reverting back to more of her inner self, like who she actually is throughout this episode, right? And Odera is actually taking this opportunity to search the room, and we also hear about the fact that there has been a lot of dead animals with their throats slit, which is crazy, and mirrors what's happened to Ryuji. So when I was watching Michiro and the girl came in, right, I love how Nana was making up all the reasons why she should be the one to watch Michiru and not this girl. Instead of the obvious one, which is that she's worried. Right? From there, Michiru wakes up and we see this beautiful smile on Nana's face. And I think that was like a very good showing of her true intentions and her true feelings in this moment, right? Now, we learned from Michiru that she saw a cat that was sick and she decided to heal it. And then she passed out, right? Then Michiru tried to heal Nana's cut, the cut that she got when she tried to open up the restaurant with a rock. And Nana kind of swings her hand back and tells her, you need to stop. Why are you always putting yourself into danger like this? And this, again, we're going to learn more about who she is a little bit later. And Nana's kind of like, you look kind of messy right now, by the way. And she says the same thing to Nana, and we see Nana's hair just messy and wild. And again, she mentions to Nana, you do not look like your usual self. Again, the author's really trying to hit home that this isn't Nana being her usual on self, like her put together, her on self, right? I thought it was a great scene. So from there, we see Jin's in the forest and he's touching an injured animal. And you can see he's talking to like a shadowed figure. And he's like, listen, I'm an animal lover. I don't care that you're killing all these people, right? He even was one of the cats that brought the cat to Michiru to heal at the sake of Michiru's life force. And he's like, I don't care. And I like this because it's good characterization for him. And again, we see how he doesn't necessarily care that Nana's killing all these people. It doesn't mean anything to him because he himself has done all of this. He actually sees them all as lower life forms. And I guess it's because he probably witnessed how each of them got on each other. So it's hard for him to see them as any different from an animal, right? From there, the scene changes. And he also mentions that these random numbers clearly don't mean anything. It's like giving a rock and telling her it's a diamond. And we know this has to do with the way Nana's been manipulated, right? So from this scene, it changes, and we see shadowy figures. We see like the government together, the people who sent Nana, and we get to see Nana's teacher and his name. Well, we don't see him, but we see him shadowed. He's in his military gear, and he calls himself Mr. Tsuruoka, right? And they also seemed very surprised she was able to get to 5 to 6 people. They thought she would just run back after one. And I guess this really just shows for Tsuruoka's training. And I think this is important because clearly he's somebody that has Nana's respect and fear, is what we find out. Because she asked herself, if I've not been myself, if he was to see me like this, I'd be scared, right? And this is where we also find out that there's been a distress call to the facility, and Nana's teacher, is going to be coming to the island, which will be crazy because I wonder how this whole thing's going to go. I know. So, right, and from there, right, we learn more about Ryuji, and we learn more about his death. We learn the fact that, he got girls, man. He was hooking up his boys with girls. Onodera's going around and he's pretty much just questioning all the boys that Mogo was giving a speech to, right? We go to the scene again, and we're at Nana, and she's taking care of Michiru, and she wants to leave and because she wants to try to get back on track and kill somebody while Onodera is distracted. And Michiru says, we want to play a game of shogi. I don't want to be alone. And I like this because, again, another hint that Nana's being reverted back. We know she loves games. The author is slowly bringing Nana out before the kind of big reveal, which is Michiru's backstory. All these little things are poking at Nana's character and like starting to rip at the seams of who she's presented herself to be until her true self comes pouring out, which we see later, right? Now I asked Michiru about who Hitomi is, right? And we learn Michiru's backstory, which is she was bullied while she was in school because of her ability, because she licked a boy's leg to heal him, and everyone's kind of like, yo, that's kind of weird. And I can totally see middle of the elementary school kids doing that. They're monsters, right? And we see that she meets a girl after she heals a dog, and they get along. And we find out that girl had cancer. And this is really shaping who Michiru was, because she did all these great things herself while being sick. And it really shapes who Michiru is, which is why she tries so hard. Because her friend who died of cancer, she could not do anything for, and she's the one with these abilities. And I think that really gives into perspective who Michiru is, because a lot of people have been calling her dumb and stupid, and I get why you would call her that, but I just think she's one of those people that just wants to try her hardest to be good. And I think that's just a great character shown. And what this is for Nana is that Nana has to leave the room, and we see that she's kind of breaks down, and she's constantly staring at the count kill and like hyperventilating. And clearly she's using this as a tactic to reinforce that what she's been doing is right. And a lot of people have been making this thing, because who has she killed? She's killed a couple of people. She's killed our first guy, who everybody thought was going to be the main character, but we all know that's not where that went. She killed the time traveler. Those are the only two guys from like decent dudes, right? After that, we have the gross dude who was a future seer and would have assaulted her and used the fact that as an excuse for it, which would have been gross. And then we also have the like necrophilia girl, who was doing things to dead, that gross, right? So we see kind of like who she's taken out so far. Oh, and those two girls, you know, the acid girl, the poison girl, and the teleporter girl. So I don't know. Like, with that being said, we kind of get a good look at kind of Nana rethinking a lot of things, and I think again that we're definitely moving in another direction and where this story is going. I think this is very obvious that where our story is going is going to be Nana either realizing a lot of things about herself and trying to now navigate what that means for her. And also I wonder where this goes for Michiru, because Michiru is constantly knocking out. Now we know she also did it in middle school, and now she did it again after she healed the cat, which I wish there was a way to know how much life force that she was losing as this goes on. And how, if she does die or something else happens, or how this affects Nana now. So with that being said, I just have, and also, I feel like this episode really clarified that Nana is not a heartless, like, because people talk about her like she's a monster, like she's doing this out of like some sick thing in her heart. Where clearly we've been shown that's not what it is. It's not gross. It's not sadistic. It's her doing what she thinks is right. So where do we go from there? So with that being said, I just have one more thing to say. I'm Senpai Matsune. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.